Hello, 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 and happy Friday. Oh my word, Bitcoin is tumbling, but it's rebounding slightly as we start this live stream. How far can it go? All right, we're going to take a look at that. Also, we're going to give a preview of the big events that are set to happen over the coming week, November 21st until, November 24th until the 28th. So make sure you stay tuned because we're going to highlight three assets that could see big moves in the week ahead, given what's scheduled for next week. Okay. My name is Han Tan. I'm the Chief Market Analyst of Bybit Learn. Thank you so much for joining us. Real quick, if you are joining us for the first time and you have yet to sign up for your Bybit account, well, right for these daily live streams, we've got a pool of 25,000 USDT set aside just for you. All right. All you got to do is click on the link in the YouTube description, or if you're watching on X, just again, same thing. Click on the link that you'll find on our feed, or there's a QR code as well. Just look out for that. And you can then sign up and then potentially get your share of 25,000 USDT or more. How much more? I'll tell you in just a bit. But for right now, let me just do a quick check to confirm that we are indeed live on YouTube and also on X. Again, we are broadcasting on the official Bybit Learn platforms, and you can find that on the on YouTube and on X. So we are live on YouTube. Thank you very much. And let me just double check on X. Again, that's at Bybit_Learn, and we are live on X as well. Looking for confirmation. Yes, we are. All right, perfect. Okay, let's get right to it. Okay, I'm going to share with you my screen. So let's dive straight into the Bitcoin chart here. And again, if you're just joining us for the first time, right, feel free to check out the live streams that we have been doing on a daily basis for the past couple of weeks now. And you'll know that every Friday I give a quick check-in on basically two of the most popular, or arguably among the most popular assets among retail traders and investors, Bitcoin and gold. And like I said, in just a bit, I'll give you a heads up on the coming week's events as well. Okay, here we go. Let's try this. This is the Bitcoin chart here. Okay, cool. So as you can see, yeah, big drops yesterday and also today, although it's rebounding slightly here. I know, okay, tell you what, I'll just zoom in real quick for you guys, because I got to zoom out because eventually we're gonna need to refer to what happened around March and April to see or to try and answer the question how far Bitcoin could go. To be clear, none of this is financial advice. Please do your own research, okay? I'm just calling it like I see it in the markets, and we have had some pretty good calls here recently about potential price targets getting to within 0.3% of those targets that we had in the past. You can again refer to them in our previous live streams, but all that matters is right now, right? So you've got it dipping below the 82k mark earlier today before bouncing back up, right? A bit slightly, clearly not out of the woods yet. And overall, you do see risk assets kind of, seeing a bit of a rebound here. I'll quickly show you guys, some other risk assets. Risk assets just means that, these are assets that people tend to buy when they feel more confident about the outlook. Okay, like they can handle a bit more risk, as opposed to when they are risk averse. They want to go towards safe havens like U.S. Treasuries. That's government bonds from the U.S. government, or in the past, like the dollar, Swiss franc, Japanese yen, gold as well, right? But those relationships have been broken a little bit because markets have had a lot to digest over the past few weeks and months, really. So that's why we are here at Bybit Learn. We're trying to do these live streams to help you guys make better informed decisions, at least get a sense of what's happening out there, understand why markets are moving the way they are moving, and then also what to look out for. Okay, real quick, this is the S&P 500, and you can find that within the TradFi, that's short for traditional finance, the TradFi section of both the Bybit app and also on the web trading platform. You just gotta, for those of you using the platform, just go up here and type in SP500, right, and you'll find it. Or you can just hover your mouse over it. You'll see the drop down, click on the TradFi tab, tap on indices. Okay, and you can find all of them, these stock indices as well, right? But right now you see this green candlestick here. I'll just zoom in a little bit just to demonstrate that, hey, markets are trying to maybe come back in to some of these riskier assets, hence the slight rebound in Bitcoin, this slight rebound in S&P 500, and similarly for the Nasdaq 100. This is another stock index, slight rebound, testing the 100-day simple moving average for resistance right now. So, it's been a bruising, few weeks really, or month for risk assets, especially for Bitcoin, as you can see on this chart here. Since posting a record high about a month and a half ago now, it's fallen by more than 30%, careening down towards these levels that we have not seen since March and April. Okay, so I will be sharing some setups here right now. So now, given that this kind of rebounds, we have seen it, right, occasionally, but again, they were perhaps what you want to call a dead cat bounce. You can Google this is a market term, or it's just basically like a false signal, right? Those rebounds basically could not be sustained in what was clearly a downtrend, not just in the past few weeks, but from October, early October, right, for the past month and a half or so. So now, we obviously got to kind of look at how things settle right now. It's currently testing resistance around that 84,000 level. I'll just draw a quick line for you guys. That's 84K right there. Right, prices are kind of testing it. Recall, just notice that all of these lines I'm drawing, they are around big round numbers. If you have been following these daily market updates and also the live streams, you will notice that the psyche of traders often are impacted around big round numbers. Okay, if for nothing else, it's just easier to type in big round numbers in those trade orders than it is to go down to decimals, right? But yeah, big round numbers. So 84K, that's where it's currently hovering at. Now, if we do see further declines or like a daily close around these areas and that sell-off continues, the next two targets will be 78.5 to 74.5. I'll try and zoom in here because those are the lows that we last saw around again March, April, right? And we know that was amidst the angst for surrounding President Trump's tariff announcement back in early April. So even in the lead up to it, markets were getting scared, especially for crypto, and also there's this big sell-off. But then after that, that it obviously went on to stage this massive rebound before culminating in that big record high that we saw on October 6th, right? Is there any such saving grace over the near term? In fact, I wrote about this in our article on the Learn website on Bybit today. At least, from my vantage point, not right now, right? Like, you need this from a fundamental perspective. You need this big reason why all those people who are willing to buy, right, be it from the ETFs or spots or even in the derivatives market, you need to give them a good reason why they should come back in, right? And so right now that reason is really lacking, and we have written about it a lot on the on our Learn blog, right? And I'll show you how to check that out right now. So you go to bybit.com, right? And for those of you who are using the app, you can just find the Learn icon within the services section, right? But for those of you going to the website, go to bybit.com, which you already know. Look for Learn along the top menu. Click on Bybit Learn. Then you'll see the URL change to learn.bybit.com. Look for the blog. We've just published a deeper insight for those who are perhaps more advanced and you can understand more about what happens in the derivative space, right? You can go check that out. Basically, it wasn't looking good, and that US jobs report that we had yesterday, not exactly exciting for markets either. Even though it was a better than expected report, markets took it as a negative. Stocks, cryptos, Bitcoin, all extended their declines, right? But then for something more immediate, you can go to the daily bits, okay? And like I mentioned, right? So Bitcoin and stocks, they're just drawing these comparisons with April. Everything just seems to be going back to that April period when we had that period of tariff angst, right? So yeah, it's going to be sensitive, and market nerves are still raw, markets are still jittery, we get that, but that there are still opportunities out there, right? And that's what we're going to highlight here in just a bit, but just to kind of show you how you can get more information about what's going on. So for example, these for this section here for today's article on the Learn blog, I'll zoom in a bit, right? So for stocks, you've got AI valuation concerns. Even though Nvidia seem to signal a more robust outlook for their earnings ahead, markets really didn't buy it, or at least they bought it very shortly. The odds for a December rate cut by the Federal Reserve, that's the world's most important central bank, right? That has been slashed from basically 94% like down to only about 30%, although that's come up to about 40% now, but still, less than half chance, right? And of course, within the crypto space, and we had mentioned this in the longer form, more advanced article under Crypto Insights, right? There is still a lot of hurt out there in the crypto space, right? But again, having said that, I think there's still plenty of opportunities to remain active in the markets. We're going to highlight those for you in just a bit. This, again, is under the Crypto Insights section, yeah, for more advanced readers. Okay, cool. So that's Bitcoin right there. Now, quick check-in on gold. Yeah, gold, right? As you can see, these are what you call doji candles. Again, all of these time frames that I'm showing you are the 1 day time frame. Yeah, in other words, each of these candlesticks or each of these bars represents how that asset's price has performed in that 1 day. Okay, so if you look at these cross-like patterns right here, it's called a doji, DOGI. It just signals indecision, right? Markets don't quite know, okay, where should gold prices go from here, right? And looking just a little bit further afield, really not only do you find over the past 5 days that gold has been kind of sandwiched in this sideways trend, but it's also been stuck between this 9-day simple moving average, that's SMA, and the 21-day simple moving average. I'll just zoom in a little bit more, like to see if you guys can see clearer. Right there, right? 9-day simple moving average, purple line, 21-day simple moving average, SMA. Okay, so it's been stuck in between these two widely followed technical indicators on the gold chart. And these technical indicators, you can find them in the top left-hand corner. Just look for that chart icon which says indicators. Click on it, and then you can type in whatever indicator you want. In this case, moving average. I like to keep things simple, and you can then play around with the parameters shown for each of those technical indicators. Okay, so let's go right there. Now I highlight these two because these are key levels to watch. A breakup to either the upside or the downside, right, could then see gold prices reaching the next target. So to the downside, it's got to break below its 21-day simple moving average before potentially hitting 4,000. That's the psychological level. Or if not, at most 3956.50. That's the forecasted lower limit for the trading range between now and next Friday, November 28th. That's to the downside. To the upside, you're looking, again, if there's a daily close above the 9-day simple moving average, I'm looking at 4200. Again, nice big round number, and also the upper bound of the forecasted trading limit for gold prices between now and next Friday. Okay, so those are the levels to watch. If you follow these live streams, right, you will know we have had many of these targets already hit, and markets really respecting these in potential price targets. None of this is to be taken as financial advice. Please do your own research. These are just some guides. Well, for this forecast, I'm relying on the Bloomberg model, right, that we use, which I cannot show you on the screen because of copyright reasons, but we do gather it from different sources, not just from technical analysis, but also from past behaviors and also from a fundamental perspective, right? So those are some key levels to look out for, not just for gold and for Bitcoin that I had showed you earlier. All right, so in table form, I'm going to show you what it looks like here for those of you who are wanting to get a nice snapshot of what it all means. Okay, cool. So can you guys see my screen? I believe so. Yes, we are live on YouTube and X still. Yes. Okay. So my table is showing up. Very good. All right. So again, Bitcoin, right? Looking for these scenarios to the potential upside, and then these potentially bearish scenarios to the downside. Key prices to look out for. Similarly for gold, note the date. I know it's a bit small, but note the date on the bottom middle here. So yeah, you guys can keep me in check and keep me accountable, right? We're doing this all in the name of transparency, not in the name of financial advice, just how we anticipate markets to react in the near term. All these are near term because, hey, we do these live streams on a daily basis. So I got to keep my ammo intact, right? Can't give you everything in once and give you a long-term scenario and you never come back. Okay. So that's what it looks like in table form. Now, for the coming week, well, before I get to that, real quick, let me just skip ahead to this. All right, so we do have a special giveaway, like I mentioned at the top of the live stream. So for these live streams, we've got 25,000 USDT in rewards set aside for you. All right, all you got to do is scan this QR code and sign up. Right. For those of you who have not entered the Bybit universe yet, here's your good entry point, because not only can you potentially get your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards, we have also got a further rewards pool that you can be a part of. I'm going to pull up that website. Here we go. So, oh, no, not this one. I apologize. Let's try this again. I've lost the URL. Hold on. Apologies, folks. I should have had this sorted beforehand. But anyways, you will get to the here we go. This one. You will get to this page, okay? So when you scan the QR code or tap on the link in the YouTube description or on X, you will then get to this page, because beyond the 25,000 USDT that we have in rewards just for these live streams, but then you can also be in the running for a further 5,000 USDT that we've set aside every week, okay? How do you get a chance at these? Well, you can complete these tasks, right, that you see on the screen. Okay, so everything from just submitting your documents so that it's part of the rules and regulations you have to follow. We want to know more about you. So verify your identity, or what is commonly known in the industry as KYC. Know your client, do that, or try out different products, or deposit, or try a spot trade, invite your friends. Even scrolling down further, you've got more, right? Read an article, share an article on social media, like an article, right? Post it. You can write you can write and publish your own thoughts as well, right? Which would be awesome to read, right? And then after doing all that, you can kind of benchmark yourselves against the rest of those who have already taken advantage of this exciting giveaway. So this is the 5,000 weekly USDT pool that we have set aside on top of the 25,000 USDT in giveaways that we have set aside just for these live stream. Okay, we've got 25 pages worth of these winners here, so go check them out. All right, first things first, scan the QR code, or click on the link that we have on YouTube and also on X. Okay, all right, so we'll move back to, we got a lot more to cover and I've got 10 minutes, guys, so let's get back to the week ahead. Let me just do this. Here we go. Okay, cool. So again, if you guys missed it, right, yesterday we did a preview of the very exciting US jobs report, which I had mentioned that there are so many cross currents in the markets right now that it's, markets have a tough time just trying to stay on top of things, right? But we are trying to help you guys out. So check this schedule of events coming up in the week ahead. So yesterday we had the delayed non-farm payrolls report that came out. Okay, markets clearly, didn't like it, or didn't like the series of announcements, and Bitcoin just plummeted. Even stock indices fell as well. So look out for more of these these official economic data releases from the US government. Always super important, because we have been flying blind, right? Because of the longest US government shutdown in history, which just ended recently. Now markets are waiting. Okay, like what happened during the shutdown, right? What has happened in the world's biggest economy? That will dictate how a lot of these asset classes, be it gold, dollars, stocks, Bitcoin, cryptos, right? How they all fare. Given that market fears are so abundant right now. So keep an eye on that. Now, for those of you looking at individual stocks, well, we've got Alibaba coming up on the 25th before US markets open. And already markets are predicting about a 6.8% move up or down right after the earnings. And I'll show you in a bit because you can actually, right here on Bybit, trade Alibaba live during the earnings, right? So even before US markets have officially opened, you can trade Alibaba stocks and many other stocks as well. NVIDIA is practically, 24 hours a day, except for, 1 or 2 minute pauses or breaks during the day, but essentially practically 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. Alibaba, not quite 24 hours, and I'll show you the timings in just a bit. But the point is, you could trade Alibaba shares on Bybit even before markets have opened. Okay, I'll show you the timings in a bit. Then on November 26th, we've got the UK autumn budget. This is huge, right? Because for GBP USD, which is the pair between the British pound and the US dollar, excuse me, this has been the third weakest G10 currency against the US dollar so far this quarter. Okay. Any guesses what the weakest G10 currency against the dollar has been since the end of September so far in Q4? Well, I'll tell you, it's the Japanese yen. And that was an asset that we had highlighted last Friday, right? And it hit our target and smashed above it, right? Because the Japanese yen has been weakening a lot. If you want to find out why or some of the woes that we had mentioned last Friday, check out the live stream on our YouTube under the live tab, or also on the X feed. You can just scroll all the way down. Okay, but GBP USD has been weakening. This is important, and we'll give you an update again, on the day itself, because look, the basically markets are concerned that the UK government, the new prime minister, has to raise taxes once more. So when you raise taxes, you're not quite sure what the taxes are, or there's plenty of rumors leading up to this big announcement. But the idea is that if you tax more, you're going to suck out more money from the economy or from households or businesses or individuals. And these economic agents, households, people's businesses, they have less money to spend to help the UK economy grow, right? So because of those concerns, GBP USD has been really weakening, and I will show you the chart in just a bit. That's the mindset going into this highly anticipated UK autumn budget. Okay, for those of you who are still looking at USD JPY like we have been all of this week, there's still more to look out for over the coming week. On November 28th, you got this lots of economic data out of Japan. You got the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, which is just the the fancy way of saying inflation. Okay, Tokyo, the inflation levels for Tokyo, that's being released all on the same time, same day. The jobless rate for Japan, retail sales, industrial production, and you've got the forecasted trading range down here for USD JPY as well. Actually, sorry, that is a typo. My apologies here. Let me fix that here on the fly while I show you. Alibaba here. But anyways, sorry folks, just gotta make sure I fact check myself as well. USD JPY is at 154.5 to the downside, and 158.9. Okay, 158.9. Okay, that's much better. All right, let me show this back on the screen again. 154.5 to 158.9. Okay, yeah. And again, don't worry, getting closer to the day, we'll actually draw those lines on the screen. But hey, you are seeing these here first, right? Keep me in check. Look at the date, 21st November, right? And we'll see how USD JPY fares and whether it respects these forecasted trading ranges, not just for USD JPY, but for GBP USD as well. There's a forecasted trading range between now and next Friday, November 28th. Okay. And just as an aside, so on Monday, Japan markets are closed. And then you got Thanksgiving Day on the 27th, US markets are closed. What does that mean, right? So generally, of course, when all these big institutions and big traders are away for the holidays, then there's this saying, liquidity is light, right, or thin. So all that means is that there are not as many people in the markets to put buy orders and sell orders and kind of keep prices in a more efficient manner. So what that means is that one big order can easily move prices big time because there's a lack of other participants to try and kind of curtail it. Okay, so liquidity is generally thinner, especially around the Thanksgiving Day in the US, right? So it could lend itself to outsized moves beyond what we've already seen so far this week. Okay, so that is something important to note. Okay, and in fact, markets are already taking that into account because I'll show you this chart here for the implied volatility for, yeah, I'll show you two variations of this chart. Okay, now this chart shows you the implied volatility for Bitcoin over the next 30 days. What that means? Implied volatility means that, okay, basically today or right now and over the next 30 days, right? Do traders think there's going to be a lot more volatility? In other words, like, our price is going to be swinging around a lot more or not as much like we saw in the summer, right? So you look at this chart, this is now at its highest since that tariff angst that we had back in March and April. Okay, hence that's also part of the rationale whereby if we see a big move, I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin revisits those April lows. Okay, but to be clear, this is not directional. It just means how big those price moves are, volatility, how big and how fast. Okay, now this is a version of the chart that just uses the closing prices, okay, on each day. But if you take a closer look, say let's look at this variation of the chart. I had it here a second ago on TradingView here. Okay, now well, sorry, I should have logged into my TradingView earlier. But you notice this spike around here hidden behind this pop-up here. Sorry, let me try and get rid of this. Nope. Okay, nope. Sorry, folks. I had it clean just now, but let's try and refresh. Notice that, yeah, here we go. All right, good old refresh. Okay, notice how there was a spike here. Okay, look at the date. This was October 10th, and we all know what happened. It was a dark day in crypto history. This was the largest liquidation event in crypto history on October 10th, right? So if you take that aside, right, basically markets expect volatility for Bitcoin to be around its highest levels since March, April. Okay, so going back to the charts here, we saw how Bitcoin really just tumbled from February onwards. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see those kind of big moves happening again, at least if markets predictions or expectations are fulfilled. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, it's going to take something really, really, really big for a Bitcoin to recover from these extreme fear levels before it can revisit those record highs, right? It might take more time and more concrete reasons for people to come back in. But for right now, testing the 84K region as we speak. Okay. All right. We've got only about a couple of minutes left. So let's do a quick check-in. So again, this is Bitcoin. I've already shown you the table of those potential price targets. So you can scroll back and refer to it. If not, we'll definitely keep showing you and also updating you in the days ahead. That's for Bitcoin. Gold, yeah, still very much stuck within the 9-day and 21-day simple moving averages. It needs a daily close either above this purple line, 9-day simple moving average, or a daily close below the 21-day simple moving average before we can see it break out of these of this range. Okay, Alibaba I mentioned earlier, so the magic number 6.8%. So I will do the calculations actually closer to the day, maybe about a day before, just to give you more accurate numbers. If you recall, look at the live stream that we did right before the NVIDIA earnings, right? Those calculations turned out perfectly. Again, not saying this is investment advice, not trading advice, but there is some justification for where we draw these levels. It's not just something that we're pulling out of thin air. Okay, and I'll draw those lines for Alibaba here later in the week. But then, just want to show you guys this. Here are the timings for Alibaba. So you can always go to any stock, click on the info, right? And you can see in your local time what that translates to. Okay, so for me here in Dubai, I can essentially trade it for 1 p.m. Dubai till almost midnight. And then there's a 1-minute break. and then it goes from midnight to 1:59 a.m., then a 2-minute break, and then it resumes from 2:01 till 5 a.m. Dubai time. Check your local timings. Find the stock, click it, search for it on the app or on the website, and then click on the info tab. Okay, top left hand corner right here. Okay, so that's Alibaba. What else? Yeah, USD JPY, like we mentioned before, we had previously hit at 159 target. 155 target already. And once again, right, you see that psychological level. This is the 158 mark, right? Resistance coming back down. Okay, big round numbers. Watch for those in the week ahead, or actually just anytime, really, because markets are moving even as we speak. Yeah, so I'll draw those lines that I showed you in the other slide as we get closer to these days. With Monday, Japanese markets are closed, but then you got lots of data to look out for a week from today. And then for GBP USD, yeah, like I said, firmly in this downtrend that we have seen really over the past month or so. Yeah, this peak here past couple of months or so. This peak came on September 17th, and it's been in this downtrend. What does a downtrend mean? Lower highs and lower lows. Okay, so keep an eye out. Well, I've drawn the lines here already for GBP USD. Let me just double and triple check myself against the model here. Of course, those numbers have moved since, but yeah, close enough. 1.324 to 1.293 thereabouts. We'll leave it locked in. Okay, cool. I think that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions? Just checking on YouTube right now. No live questions. And now I know that, again, not as many people are watching during the live stream, but in fact, many more of you actually watch after the fact, right? Which is fine. So even though you're watching this later after the live stream is ended, just feel free to drop us a comment or DM us on X. That's at Bybit_learn. Okay, that's the official platforms for Bybit Learn, and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible after the weekend. Okay, any comments on Twitter or X? Nothing right now. Thank you for those watching. All right, cool. So we'll leave it at that. Maybe for those, I just saw a couple more ticked up on YouTube, so I'll just show you this screen one more time. I just end with this. All right, so keep an eye on these big scheduled events. Well, except for the government data releases, we have yet to hear more announcements, but it can happen fast, right? So look out for all these, and these could potentially produce some big market moves. Most importantly, don't miss out. And do not miss out on the prize pool that we have set aside, 25,000 in USDT that we have set aside for these live streams. First things first, scan the QR code to sign up for your Bybit account. Then in addition to that, you could be in the running for a further 5,000 USDT in weekly rewards. Then you got different tasks that you can do to get more points and benchmark yourself, right? Test yourself against all those others who have already, so many of them, 25 pages, or 25 pages worth of lists of folks who have already taken advantage of those weekly prizes. And don't forget 25,000 USDT in rewards here. Okay, do not miss out. We'll see how markets fare over the weekend, and then we'll come back again same time, 2 p.m. GMT on Monday. Until then, have a good